So I'm just going to do a quick update on the entrance to the secret garden, which we all know is not very secret at the moment. So I've been working on it this morning, and there we are. So the gate's up. I finally decided that I would actually put the hinge on this side, and that was because I'm on a money-saving mission, as we all are at the minute, and I've decided I'll just sand this little section back and we'll just paint that white again. So at the minute it looks a little bit disjointed because we've put a lot of other bits and bobs on ready for the next phase of it. And by that I'm talking these little bits here. So everything that's a brownie colour is what I've put on today, and that's all ready for putting other things on. So the best example I can show, and I pinned this one temporarily earlier, this is the kind of look I'm going for, which is mimicked by the base. I will put these on not as they are now, they're going to be copying the base, but they will be maybe slightly wider. I bought these two panels and they actually look quite nice in comparison to the bottom. The bottom looks great, but it's shorter and thinner between each gap, and I've decided that having put this up like this, it looks quite nice. So I've got to strip them back off. As I said, I bought them. I've got to strip them back off the wood that they're attached to, which is there, and then put them on individually, and I'll have to cut them to the width of the actual structure itself. So I've been hard at that this morning, and I'm doing something else this afternoon, so I've had to break off and do this short video. So this is it behind. Let's go down here so you get a better look at it. So that's what the gate looks from behind, or looks like from behind. I cut the bottom off, as I said I would. We will make a change to that bottom section. I intend to actually cover that section, probably with ply, just so it looks a bit more solid and it looks a bit more gate looking. It looks okay at the moment. I'll give that some thought. Maybe I won't do that, but at the moment that's my intention. The door handle obviously was here, you can see there, so we've got to replace that. We've had to put what they call, I think they call this the clapper bar, so the gate itself will sit on it like that. We've done that now. At the moment I've had to wedge it open with that spade, which typically fell over. We've wedged it with a spade because it does come forward, and I've had a bit of messing about because I had to actually move the top hinge from its original place. When the other people put it on, they put it here. Now I worked out that if I did it at the same spot, well, by the time I hung it, it wouldn't open at all. The gap between the two posts was way too slim at the top, not at the bottom. So they'd obviously misjudged it on the previous, well, it must have worked on the previous hole it was in, which I believe to be brick. But what I have noticed is this section here. So this brown section is obviously been trimmed off. And I think that's what might have caused the problems, because although I'd set it correctly to start with, it wouldn't shut. There was a difference in here, and then down to the bottom, it was a little bit different. There was a wider gap at the bottom than there was at the top. Oh, sorry, at the top rather than there was at the bottom. So what I did was I adjusted the hinge, and I've had to adjust that hinge quite a bit because that's where it sat originally, and I've had to peg that, and we'll clean that up over time and fill that in. But that's how far I've had to move it to make sure that the gate works itself. Now, as a result of that, it's not going back to where I wanted it. I did actually say that if it did blow open while I wasn't here, it would actually. Let's demonstrate it. So it's starting to slowly open now. So I'm not here, gate's opening, forgot to shut it properly, and it's opened up. So the majority of that sits underneath the structure. Okay, there's a section here that isn't under the structure, but it's well painted. So actually, even if it had opened the other way, it would have been fine. Now, I know when you open gates, you should really be opening inwards towards the Anderson shelter at the back. You should really be opening inwards, but I'm a bit different. I didn't want that. I wanted it to look good at the front. And if I'd have wanted it to do that, I would have had to put those hinges on the back. And then I would have had to do something else on the front, put some false hinges that I was going to do. But I decided, having looked them up, they were £50 each. And I wasn't prepared to, although it would have been worth it, I wasn't prepared at this point to do that. So I went for that. So it's looking nice. We got to the first phase. I will get back to it, but it won't be till next week now. But it's looking good. So I've had to put some add-ons, as I said I would have to bring it in, and I've done that as best I could. They're not coloured yet, so they haven't been treated. So they're a totally different colour to everything else that's in there. But eventually, they will get a colour, and then they'll all match in, and they should look good. And like I said, what I intend to do eventually is possibly mimic the shape of that up here. So I said before that I would mimic the shape and down again, so it's more like the Gothic arch. Now the only other way that I could do that, so that I don't have to do that, to put that in, is actually take off this across there, which would be mimicking the top. But I've had a lot of thought about this, and I think that's why I want to do it. I want to put this false section in there, in this section here. I want to make it like a Gothic arch and make it more in keeping with what the gate looks like. Because as you can see, the two shapes are a little bit different. They're the same but different. The gate itself is more of a Gothic shape, and the structure is more pointed, less Gothic-y. But anyway, so there you go. We've done a bit more on it. A little bit more. It's looking good. I'm quite happy with that at this phase. I'd like to have carried on today, but I can't. I've got other commitments. And the next phase I shall do is those sections there. Like I say, I hung that just so you could have a look to see what the final thing would look like. It'd be a lot neater than that when I've done it. And then hopefully, well, I know that you won't be able to see through here. Now, Gypsy Holler, if you're watching this, has sent me a message suggesting a window in there would look nice, and I agree with her totally. So I do have a window that I may put in there. In fact, while I'm filming this, I'm going to put this on pause and I'm going to bring the actual window over so you get some sort of an idea what it looks like. So I've got the window in my hand, so let's walk back up to it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I had already intended to use this round window in another part of the garden, but in my original plans for this, what I call the pillbox, which is that entrance, I was going to just leave a window opening, really, is the only way to describe it. I was just going to do a window opening. So what that would have meant was I would have carried on with all those bits of wood all the way up, and then part of it would have been left open to look like a window so you could see through. Now I still may go for that side of it because putting this window in will be pretty difficult. So I'll just put this on pause again. So now you've got to have a good imagination now. You've got to imagine that window is higher up. It'll be at least, the top of it will be at least to there. If I can do it, if I can fix it, I will do it like that, and I will carry on with those little slats either side of it if it's possible. So technically it is possible, but whether it'll add anything, I don't know at this point. It may pay me just to put in a window shaped frame, so an oblong shape in the actual section itself, and leave that open, and that would look quite attractive as well. But for the moment, I'm going to go with thinking about that. I'm not going to commit to it yet, because it may not work. So we'll leave this over here. Now that's a window that I actually was given when somebody was doing an house up and they decided they'd give me that. There you go, there's a window. It's quite nice, it's a lovely round window. And it maybe will look good in there, I don't know. Again, it's all exciting, it's all about changing and morphing it. Let's close the door up and show you again. So from in here, you would get a sort of a round window in there, in that section there, and that would make it interesting as you stepped in. Yeah, so that's looking good. Now another thing that I'm going to do, and I've been playing about with this idea since I put this up, was to put a bird box up in the eaves there. So the hole is where that triangular shape is. But I should probably have to do it at the front now if I'm going to mess about with the shape of the arch itself to match. In fact, looking at that don't look too bad. I might just leave it like that. I might not bother at all. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Maybe I will leave that shape. It won't take a lot of effort to cut a board, so I'll probably give that a go as well and give myself some options. Yeah. So there we go. That's what I've been doing today. The weather's improved. Robin's singing away. Birds are starting to chirp away now, so we know spring's on its way. Still haven't done the cutback. I'm going to start soon because we've had promise of a spring-like weather coming in the next week or two. So let's see. Let's hope they're right. And I may start on one or two of the grasses that I know need taking back, including this one here. That's Pennisetum macrorum, and it will self-seed everywhere, this one. All the seeds have gone. I don't mind self-seeders. I can control them. I don't know if you can make out that robin, but it's up there somewhere singing away. What a lovely sound. You know spring's on the way when you start hearing that. So yeah, so the secret garden gate, here we go. So there we are. That's the back end of it. And I think that looks okay. In my opinion, that would probably have been better to have actually blanked that whole back off, although that's quite nice. I don't know whether that's going to work long term with the look of the structure. So if it doesn't, I'll simply pin a piece of plyboard onto the back and paint it white. I don't know, I've got some tongue and groove, to be honest. I could put that on as well and make it look a bit better, make it look more gate-like on the back. I'm trying to imagine what it looked like when it was a door through a... I'm sure he said it was, the chap I got it off said it was on a brick wall. It was in a brick wall itself. I'm sure he said that. But anyway, we're not going to make too many changes at this point. We'll just stick with my ideas at the minute. So thanks for your suggestion, Gypsy Hollow. It's nice for you to communicate and give me one or two ideas. As I've said, I don't really need them. I've probably already thought of them and rejected them in my own mind, but it's always best to revisit some of the ideas. It's always nice to hear you giving me some of your opinions, which is great. I'm going to see if I can find this robin for you. It's up there somewhere. Yeah, there's two of them. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. So I've not got a lot else to say. I'm just waffling again as usual. I will continue with it. Oh, before we go, here's the bit I cut off of it. As you can see, the reason I cut it off, it is rotten and beyond saving. The rest of the door is in absolutely brilliant order, in good nick. But that wasn't. And that's why I decided that would become a gate. And as I said, we've got a lovely view at the back there. As you can see through the background, let's zoom in. We've got those woods on top of those hills. We're in a very wooded and valleyed area where I live, and it's lovely. Yeah, there we go. Oh, really, let's discuss this section here. I'm still toying with maybe buying something a little bit more mature to put in there, something that's going to grow faster, because it is supposed to be the secret garden. And I said time's against me at the minute. It's not with me. The plants will do it eventually, but will they do it quick enough? I don't know. I've had one or two more ideas of different shrubs that might achieve the look a bit quicker, but I don't mind it too much like this at the moment. I mean, it all looks pretty good. If you look at it from here, it looks pretty good. And once some of the perennials start growing, because there are one or two perennials in there, there's a couple of foxgloves in there that'll add to the show. And while it's in development, then maybe it'll be okay to leave it. I don't know. I'll have a think about that one. Okay, so there we go. Thanks for checking me out again, and I waffled a little bit, but hopefully that's given you an idea of how I achieved that. I've enjoyed it. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Ta-da.